It is an award-winning cafe that was recognized by TripAdvisor, Forbes magazine, Herald Review Media, and so many others. And since August of 2024, Le Cornucopia Cafe expanded from their one location on Main Street in Bisbee to a second location, moving into a space right here at the Sierra Vista Library. And the owner of the Cornucopia has lived quite an incredible life as an actress, author, entertainer, producer, entrepreneur, political candidate, and more. She is Gretchen Bonaduce, and she is someone you should know. Welcome to Someone You Should Know with Jeff Davenport, brought to you by SSVEC, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, serving our community. Gretchen Bonaduce, lovely to see you.
Oh my God, you made me sound so cool.
Well, I mean, we all think you are. That's why you're someone we should know. You know, I mean, I want to take us kind of on a little journey here, like a mini podcast, if you will, as we're sitting right outside. The smells, I wish this was smell-o-vision. You could smell what's going on here. What's the soup of the day?
Yeah, the cheeseburger soup.
Cheeseburger soup today, going on here at the Sierra Vista Library. Definitely want to be here. But what I'd like to talk to you about is your life as a whole. Where did it all begin for you? Where were you born? What was your early life like?
Oh my gosh, that is such a question. I'm from Chicago originally, and I lived in Germany when I was a child,
what part?
And then Buren, Germany.
See, a lot of people who watch us are military families that have that connection to Germany.
Yeah, I don't even know if that post still exists, but yeah, I was in Buren, and then I moved to Tennessee when I was a teenager. So I graduated from high school from Chattanooga, and then ended up in Phoenix, Arizona, and ended up marrying Danny Bonaduce.
We'll get to that. We got a few steps in between. So spending a lot of time. Were you in a military family? Is that what took you to Germany?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, my stepfather was in the Army.
Okay. So. And traveling as a kid, like I did, and like many of us did, as dependents of the military. What was it like for you going to a new place every 3 to 4 years and making friends and finding those connections?
Well, actually, we only ended up in Germany, and we were supposed to be there for 3 years, and then my mother passed away. Okay. So we came back to the United States. So I didn't really get to experience that, which would have been lovely. But I was so grateful that I got to spend, at least a year in Germany. That was quite exciting.
My goodness, that's quite a trauma to go through.
It really was.
Losing your mother.
Yeah, it was a very, and I didn't know till I was 22 how it had happened. She had just had a child, and somehow she fell out of the hospital window. So it was, kind of trauma for sure, being a child and having something like that happen to you. And then I didn't know till I was 22. I mean, I knew she had passed away, obviously,
right.
But I didn't know the circumstances. Yeah. So then that brought us back to Chicago, and then we went to Chattanooga and grew up in Tennessee after that.
So a Tennessee lifestyle, what are some of the things that a young Gretchen does for hobbies, or did you play sports, or what did you do in high school?
Well, not really sports, but I was on a dance team.
Okay.
Like we were like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader type thing. And, I started working young at 14, so I had jobs all the time.
What kind of jobs?
I worked at Red Lobster. That was my first job as a hostess, and I worked at a very high-end restaurant there as a hostess as well. And then I had bands, so that was kind of my priority. I needed to have a
music
job.
scene in Tennessee. Imagine that, huh?
No, crazy, right? So I wanted to have a job where I could play out at night. So, with my band, we were the most odd-looking band of all time, and we were called, what was our name? I think Boys Life was the name of that. It was my first band. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And as you start that band in your teenage years, being able to have that flexibility, how was your studies at that point? Was this post high school, or was this actually during high school?
After high school.
Okay, after high school in the band.
And then I wanted to go to college, and I couldn't get into the one that I wanted to go to. So then I just was like, well, then I just won't go. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm going to be a waitress the rest of my life if I don't go to college. So then I moved to Phoenix.
Okay.
And went to a business college there where
What was it about Phoenix? Was it just you applied to a lot of places and they accepted you? Or
my parents lived there. My parents had moved from Chattanooga to Phoenix.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to be a waitress the rest of my life. So I went there and went to school.
And got your business degree? Is that what ultimately happened?
Well, it was travel and tourism was my specialty. And I was on the dean's list, so that was quite exciting. And so then I got a job at Alamo Rent-A-Car, and I worked there for a couple of years. And they transferred me to Chicago to work at O'Hare, so I was going back home again. And I also had a record contract with somebody out of there. So you know, it was, I was always trying to figure out how to do my music and live. So, you know, that was my constant struggle in life, is what job can I get where I can still sing at night? And that's kind of what I was doing.
And being able to do that, again, at that age, it's an exciting time of life. And to have that opportunity to be able to pursue the music career while being able to pay your bills.
Really was amazing.
And do that. Is that where you think the entertainer bug kind of hit you as a singer? I mean, did you grow up singing?
Oh, yeah. In high school, I was in the gospel choir and the choir that did Handel's Messiah, you know, so I've always wanted to sing and I always wanted to act, although I act badly, which, you know, is kind of not conducive to getting jobs in Hollywood acting. So I can do a few things, but, you know, it's not my forte for sure.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about the transition to acting. Was there a true transition? Like, did you actually give up music for a while, or were you able to keep music while pursuing the acting career?
Not really.
Okay.
No. I would sometimes, they had a thing in Chicago called Chick Singer Night, and I would do that maybe once a year, and they would give you a band. It was kind of a great thing. I actually tried to sell it as a TV show, because there's so many people that want to sing, but they don't have a band, you know, and so it would give you an opportunity to be a superstar for a night. So I started doing that.
So you basically build the wrecking crew around a singer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the wrecking crew.
Thank you. Shout out to those who know. If you know, you know.
Yes, hello, you know that. And so, yeah, my whole life was just trying to figure out how I could sing. So then when I ended up getting married and having children, it wasn't really something I could do anymore, which was fine. You know, I was so happy being a mom and taking care of my kids. Yeah. But once they were grown, I was able to start another band and do that all again in my 40s. So, but the acting, it was more kind of transition from being in a docuseries. So that was how I got on TV, and then I was producing shows and acting. Every once in a while, someone would ask me till they figured out, wow, you're actually really bad. I don't think we can ask you to do that anymore.
Well, then the producing side, maybe, did you feel more comfortable there and being able to?
Totally. I had such a knack for it. Like, I was coming up with great ideas. I've had so many options for TV shows, but it's super hard to get them on TV. That becomes the hard part. I mean, I've had shows with Warner Brothers. I have a show with Reese Witherspoon right now that I'm trying to get off the ground. So I just try to throw it out there, and somehow I have a knack for it. But then getting it on TV becomes, I've had 3 on TV. So, yeah.
And along the way of doing all this, 1990 rolls around, this epic year. You meet this guy who used to be in the Partridge Family, named Danny Bonaduce.
Yes.
How did that first date go?
Well, we actually met. I was working for a production company, and it was around Halloween, and it was my job to book psychics on radio shows for that whole week. And so I booked a psychic on his show, which is so funny. And I told the psychic the next day, I said, oh my gosh, I just booked the psychic on his show, and he seems cool. I'd like to meet him. So she saw him that night. He was hosting like a haunted house thing, and she goes, oh, let me read your palm. She goes, oh my God, you're going to get married really soon. He goes, really? Like, to who? And she goes, oh, her name is Gretchen. He goes, Gretchen? I don't know any Gretchen. She's like, it's a really skinny girl with all this blonde hair, because I was kind of going through my Nancy Spungen phase at that point. Yeah, as we all do. And I
have those photos too. You know,
I'd love to see them. And so the next day, when I called to make sure that everything was set for the radio interview, he got the message saying a girl named Gretchen called. He's like, give me that number. And so that's kind of how we ended up going out, because the psychic had as a joke, and then we ended up getting married. Like, we didn't know each other that well. A few hours. It was kind of one of those Britney Spears kind of jokes.
That's kind of what I wanted to get to is you get married just the same day that you go out, basically,
well,
right?
The Inquirer said Danny Bonaduce marries blonde after 8-hour courtship. So it was kind of accurate, but it was probably more like 42 hours.
Okay, so, all right, yeah. We want to at least, come on, Inquirer, get your act together. Yes. And this is a marriage that lasts 18 years.
18 years,
we've
been married.
In our day and age, 18-year marriage is quite something.
And it's like 100 Hollywood years.
Yeah.
If you make it 18 years, it equals 100 years.
Right, and thinking about that, what was life like for you during that marriage with the reality TV side of things? happening, and how do you navigate all of that?
Well, it was
as a wife, a
definitely-
mom, a TV.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a definite wild ride, and some periods were good and some were not that good. Just like most marriages. But I ended up with two beautiful, wonderful kids who I titled them as their first names. So I have Count and Countess Bonaduce, and then they went by their real names, which are Dante and Isabella. But, I thought it'd be awesome to go to Europe and go, I have a Count and Countess with me. And they go, oh my God, go through. They would just let us through.
That's a brilliant idea. I mean, I'm sure
it was
that would
great.
continue
It was
to
great.
work. Because they can just show their ID. That's literally their name.
That's right.
It
says Count
their legal name.
Bonaduce. That's right. And Countess. So, so we had two wonderful children, and I was so fortunate to live in Hollywood like anyone wants to. All the world goes there to live the Hollywood life, and very few people ever really get to experience that. Red carpets and going to the Emmys and the Grammys and all of those sorts of things.
It is award season as we see those awards. You've been to all of them.
Yeah, I haven't been to the Oscars.
Oh, okay.
But I've been to the other ones, and it's just the way you want to live your life in Hollywood, if at all possible. So I was fortunate that I got to do that.
After the separation in 2007, what does life become like in that window before you end up writing your book in 2018?
Luckily, because we were married so long, he had to pay me, some nice alimony. So that was good. That made life a lot easier. And then I was smart enough to give him almost all my money and buy our house. We had the most beautiful 1920s mansion that we had fully restored. And so I bought him out of that. Okay. And then my son and I lived in apartments, and I rented it out for 10 years because I knew it was a gold mine.
Yeah.
And then, so I just kind of had my band, I was playing
so the music
Vegas,
was still going on. Okay.
Started that back up again, and producing shows, and so it was great, except for I lived in an apartment instead of my beautiful, nice Hollywood mansion.
Obviously, with fires that happened recently, did that home make it, or
that home is fine? But I have so many friends that lost everything. Their homes, their animals, all their things, their possessions, their cars. So, I'm fortunate that the people that bought my house, it's still there, and they're fine.
Wow. Wow. I mean, incredible. And come in 2018, you end up writing the book.
Yes.
The Surviving Agent Orange.
And other things I learned from being thrown into the Partridge Family bus. It's quite a long title. I wanted to write a book because I felt like I had an experience that people might be interested in reading about.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to write it. But then when I sat down and spoke to people and I told them a story and I said, write the story, then send it to me. It didn't sound like me. So I was like, you know what? I can do this. So I was just very disciplined. I went to the LA Zoo, sat next to the orangutan enclosure on a bench.
Were they orange colored?
Yes, they were. Yes. I didn't know how to write a book, but I had a company a publisher that was going to put it out. So I didn't really worry about anything because I knew they would fix it in editing. Yeah. So I just kind of wrote and then tried to put it in order. And I was.
Did you find it therapeutic or healing to be able to go through that process of writing a book about your life?
I hate that word cathartic, but it kind of is. But the best thing about it is I just kept thinking of all these things I had forgotten about because you're trying to come up with enough material to put in a book, and so that was kind of fun to just relive all of those things I kind of hadn't thought about, in a really long time.
And being able to get that all down, you got your publisher, the editing, the book comes out,
right?
And it's again just a piece of you being revealed to the world.
It was great. Even my editor said, "Well, actually, you sold a lot more books than we thought you would." I'm like, "Oh, thanks for the confidence."
That is. It's Gretchen Bonaduce. It's someone you should know with Jeff Davenport, brought to you by SSVEC. So the book comes out, pandemic happens. When you're familiar with Arizona, you're familiar with Phoenix, you spent a lot of time there.
Yes.
When did Bisbee, Arizona, get on your radar?
I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I left LA because I really didn't want to be there anymore. It's so expensive. Literally, you spend half of your life just sitting in traffic, and I just didn't want to do that anymore. And so one day I sat down and I Googled mansions for sale. And that's when I first heard of Bisbee. This beautiful house came up there and I was like, oh my God, I could like cash out and live there and be fine. And so I came to see the house.
What year was this?
That was 2019,
Okay.
I believe. It was right
so
before the pandemic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so right after the book, but before the pandemic.
Yep,
Okay.
right after the book. And actually, that's how I got to see it. I was doing a book signing in Phoenix,
okay.
so I coincided to go down and see the house.
Yeah, great timing.
Walked in, just fell head over heels in love with the house. And I was like, whatever I have to do, I have to sell everything. I have to get this house. And so I put a bid on it, and it was contingent on my house in LA selling. The people that were going to buy it had a buyer, then their buyer fell through, then my buyer fell through, and now I had the house that I had taken like a ridiculous loan out, thinking, I'd only have it for a month because I was going to sell my house. And then the pandemic hit, so it was just really scary nightmare. And then I had to close. So, I had just opened in July. March I had to close, no business, terrified, and I don't know how, but somehow I just pulled it out again. So.
It seems to be a great life lesson of, I don't know, either tenacity or what is it about you that's inside of you?
Okay. Stupidity that I never, people ask me, they're like, did you ever think that, maybe you could fail? I'm like, no, that just never occurred to me. Like, it doesn't even occur to me that I could fail. I probably should think about that more, but so far I haven't been wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing you were not wrong about was coming down to Bisbee, you end up seeing Le Cornucopia Cafe, the iconic Cornucopia.
Yes.
Talk about what that experience was like, maybe the first time you saw it or experienced it, and when did it come about that you were able to acquire it?
Well, my business partner and I literally ate there every day. And then one day there was a sign in the window, and so we were talking about it. We were like, you know what? We're probably already paying the mortgage with how much we eat here anyway, so we might as well just buy it. So that's kind of what we did. Yeah, we bought it. Kind of took it to another level. We added a bunch more sandwiches, but the one thing we didn't do was take anything off the menu, because a lot of people come in and they want to change everything up.
Right.
Well, it's such a mistake. This place was perfect, so we just added more choices, but didn't take anything off, and that turned out to be a great, idea, not to try to change things.
Do you think your role as a producer has something to do with your success with restaurateuring and entrepreneurship? Is there a connection there between those two?
I mean, I am so about planning and looking into the future and how this could work and how to make it work. So probably, I'm sure that has something to do with it. And what's so funny? I did not really have any knowledge of any of the things I've been able to do. I
See,
did,
this is what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Are you a chef? And are there any
I am
Bonaduce
now.
family recipe secrets that are here available at the Sierra Vista Library and on Main Street?
Not so much, but no, I am a chef now, but I wasn't when I first, purchased. But you have to become where you can do that in case someone can't make it in.
Right.
And acting, well, we already covered that. I still can't do that one as much as I'd like to. I wrote a book. I'd never written a book. I've never managed hotels, and now I do that. So I think I just have the ability to shapeshift into whatever I need to do and make it a success. I mean, everyone that knows me, they're always like, I don't know anyone that works as hard as you. Even my dad's like, why are you doing this to yourself? You don't need to work this hard. But I just can't. I have to.
You can't not.
I'm driven. Yeah.
Let's talk about, as we found out in the most recent issue of Currents magazine, there was a nice little spread here toward the back featuring you. Look at that. There's you right there in Currents magazine.
Wow.
Who is the baker for the Cornucopia?
Well, we have several bakers.
But there's one in particular who you have known for quite a while, right?
Well, Katie Harrelson is our baker in Bisbee, and we have Celeste Fides here in Sierra Vista, and then me, myself.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Where did Dante work into this?
Oh, my son, yes. He's part owner here as well. But he works at Millix, at the vineyard out there.
Okay.
So he was an investor out here. He doesn't have anything to do with the Bisbee one, but my daughter and my son and my business partner, Kevin Kautsky, we all went in on this one.
What about Greenway Manor? Are they involved in that as well?
No, they're really not involved in that very much. My son is about to move out of state, and my daughter lives in Europe. But, I didn't raise two dummies. I'm like, hey, you guys, let's all pull our money and get the second restaurant there. Like, good idea, Mom. So they just kind of trust me to do it. And at first it was really slow. I was very worried we weren't going to make it here, but it seems to be turning around. So I'm so grateful.
Well, and hopefully a video like this will definitely help, because she is someone you should know. If someone, speaking of, maybe business is slow at the Cornucopia Cafe, if someone has never been to the Cornucopia Cafe, what would you recommend that they get here in Sierra Vista or over in Bisbee?
Well, we're very famous for our meatloaf sandwich. That's very popular. We also, I would say the quiche is so delicious. And every day we have different soups. And I'm a soup girl. Like, I eat soup every day. So we're always trying to come up with something new or different. And everything's good. I mean, our cookies are outrageous. We don't really do pie here very often.
Okay.
But we do have the lemon bars and the cookies and it's just the best food. I mean, like I said, we were eating there every day anyway, and it just felt like if you're going to pay the mortgage, you might as well just buy the business. Yeah, so it's great. Like, the food is, we're so proud of it.
Yeah,
and to take it to the level that we've been able to, with TripAdvisor voting us in the top 10 in the world for lunch, and
Forbes.
Yep,
Forbes magazine.
Best meatloaf sandwich.
Yeah, and I mean, Forbes was traveling through the area, and they came through Bisbee, and they stopped by Cornucopia and had this meatloaf sandwich that they couldn't stop writing about and raving about.
Yeah, we've had a lot of accolades, and it's just so exciting to own something that is so successful and that people really love. And the same with Greenway Manor.
Yeah.
I bought that and turned it into a rock and roll Greenway Manor, where each room has a different music theme. Like, I have a Beatles room, a David Bowie room, a Johnny Cash room. And so that went really well. So then I bought a house out at the Bisbee airport that is all airport themed, Amelia Earhart, and everything is just airplanes. And I kind of cleaned out eBay, all of the first class, everything that, with all the airlines that aren't even in existence anymore. So I have TWA glasses and Braniff silverware and America West. Yeah, so I kind of tried to theme it all that way. So that went really well too. So far I'm batting 1,000. Like I said, I don't know how I'm doing it. I don't really think about failure. So.
Well, and not only are you doing it, but you're employing people, and they have families that are connected. How many people do you employ currently in Cochise County?
We employ 16 people at least, maybe more than that.
That's
but
amazing.
At least 16 people. Yeah. And I mean, we depend so much on the tourism, so that's what I'm always pushing for, which is one of the things that prompted me to run for mayor.
That was my business owner. How many people do you employ? Running for Bisbee mayor, there. Yep. That was my next question. How did you know that I was rolling into that?
I didn't know.
Because you're a producer, and she was producing the segment,
And I was producing the segment, and it turns out I'm actually a better actor than I thought I was.
Exactly. Yes. See, how dare you take that away from yourself?
Sorry.
But let's talk about that. Okay. So that was what spurned on this possible political run for Bisbee mayor. And what would the city of Bisbee look like under a Gretchen Bonaduce administration?
It'd be very fashionable and super hip. I just really support the tourists, and that is, I was running as a career businesswoman, not a career politician, because I don't have that kind of experience. But, really the city manager runs the city. Yeah. And, to me, the mayor is more of a liaison for what's the word I'm looking for here? Just the person, the face of the city, and so I kind of thought I could easily do that, because the city manager and the city council, they kind of make all the hard decisions, and I just really wanted to push for tourism.
And being able to open up that door, obviously Bisbee is kind of the hub of Cochise County, where it's 30 minutes from Douglas, 30 minutes from 20 minutes from Tombstone, 30 minutes to Sierra Vista. It's kind of like in the it's the
triangle,
center of the spoke,
the
of the wheel.
Bermuda Triangle of Arizona.
I mean, it really is. And I mean, we've covered a lot of territory. If you missed part one, you got to go back and see part one of this interview. But we started this conversation with all the different hats that you wear: actress, author, singer, entertainer, producer, entrepreneur, political candidate. Which one of those, or what would you most like to be known for?
Wow. I think I would just like to be known as a really good person who tried to help as many people as I can, which is what I try to do all the time. You know, my parents taught me, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything, help as many people as you can. And that is kind of my goal. And I think maybe that's why I succeed, because I come from a place of really wanting to help other people and to have the means and the opportunity to do it. I'm a person that will do it. You know, there's all these billionaires, and I'm sure they all help, but I don't understand a billionaire. Like, why are there billionaires?
Yeah.
Who needs that much money?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just kind of try to live my life being a positive person and try to help people, and that's kind of what I want to be known for. Is, you know, I say in my book, actually, my ex-husband would always go, you know, it's not even a compliment that you like people, because you like everyone. And he goes, is that what you want on your headstone? She was nice. And I go, yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yeah, I think that's not a bad way to go out.
Well, it has been nice and lovely to talk to you today. And congratulations on all your success continued. And thank you for what you're doing here in Cochise County. And thank you for helping that part of Bisbee, and now in Sierra Vista with the Cornucopia Cafe in their 2 locations. Of course, the iconic Main Street location in Bisbee, and then right here at the Sierra Vista Library on Tacoma Street. Award-winning cuisine, fantastic desserts. If this was smell-o-vision, again, I wish this was smell-o-vision, you could tell, but guess what? You can tell it for yourself when you stop by on Main Street in Bisbee or right here in the Sierra Vista Library. Gretchen, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. You are definitely someone we should know and someone you should know. Brought to you by SSVEC, Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, serving our community. Again, as always, if you get any added value out of anything we do here on Cool FM Live, leave us a thumbs up, leave us a follow, and be sure to go back and see part 1, and then go back and see part 2. Like them both, share them both, and let them know that Gretchen Bonaduce is here and doing amazing things in Cochise County for our area. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later on. Thank you so much, Gretchen. Thank you. Absolutely
Thank you
lovely.
so much.
No,
Thank you. That was fun.